Hello, I'm back to make a video again. Welcome back to my channel. The 70-degree temperatures are over. This week it's supposed to be in the 40s during the day and of course 30 below, 30 degrees a little below in the evening. So I'm going to make some comfort food. This is a recipe that I've made for, I don't know, 13, 14 years, but it's a homemade pesto with mozzarella grilled cheese sandwich and homemade tomato basil soup. So we're going to make the tomato basil soup first. I've got that oil heating up, and we're going to go over there. And I'm going to put in onion and celery, and I chopped these pretty fine so they cook quickly. You want to probably cook them so they're translucent about, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes. So we'll get those cooking. A lot of my soups calls for vegetable stock, like my cream of broccoli and cheddar, and my tomato basil calls for vegetable stock, which is what I use. But I also reduce my stock by a cup, and I use a little bit of white wine to deglaze the pan. It gives a little extra additional kind of element to the flavor of the soup, which I really like. Okay, so it's going to be a homemade tomato basil soup. I've got fresh basil here that's going to go on the soup at the very end. Some farm bread from the local grocery store. The recipe for the tomato basil soup is olive oil and butter. That's where you saute the onions. A medium to small onion. I did add celery. It's not in the recipe, but that celery adds a little bit of dimension. And then I'm going to use a full can of tomato sauce to give it that, and also some tomato paste. So I'm going to go back over and check those onions. I forgot to get the can of tomato sauce out, so I'm going to do that now, and the tomato paste. While those onions cook just a little bit more. I do add a clove of finely chopped garlic. And what happens is this softens the onions and celery enough, because I'm going to use an immersion blender to chop it all up to make the soup really, really creamy. So really want to make sure that those onions and celery are nicely cooked and translucent. Well, that's continuing to go. I'm going to open my can of tomato sauce that I forgot to open up earlier. So I'm going to do that right now. And of course, making a complete mess. Let's see how those are doing. So I do, like I said, I use garlic here, finely chopped. Wait until the onions and the celery are translucent and really soft before the garlic goes in. If you put the garlic in too soon, it can actually burn, and if it burns, it gets bitter, adds a really different flavor to the soup. So when I use tomato paste, you can get them in a can. I get it in a tube because it's resealable, and you can just put the lid back on and put it in the refrigerator, because you know those cans you can't really cover up. You have to either use a whole amount, and that's not very economic when it comes to trying to save money for groceries and things, especially with things expensive. So again, here we are. Those are almost ready to go. So while those are just finishing up, I'm going to start my fresh pesto. So I have 2 cups. So I have 2 cups of basil in my food processor. I didn't really cut them up because the food processor is going to take care of that. Then I'm going to put in 1/2 cup of pecorino cheese, 2 cloves of finely chopped garlic, and 1/8 cup of pine nuts. Also going to add in some salt and pepper. Let's go over and see how those onions are doing. Turn that down just a little bit because I just want them to be translucent. I don't want to saute them. I am going to go ahead and put that garlic in there and get that stirred in. So you know the garlic is doing its job as soon as you can start smelling it. That's awesome. So what I'm going to do now that the garlic is already kind of gotten its flavor in the oil, I'm going to go ahead and add in 2 tablespoons of flour. Now you don't have to do this. I just like a little bit of a thickening agent when it comes to the soup to make it just a little bit thicker. You can use cornstarch if you want. But that's going to cook a little bit because you want that flour taste. That flour taste, you don't want that in there. So you want to cook that a little bit. It'll get bubbly and dry. Turn that down a little bit and just let that cook out a little bit. Come back over here. I'm going to add salt and pepper. I like my pesto peppery. And then a good amount of olive oil. I'll add a little bit more of that in just a minute. We're going to go back over the pan. Okay. So this is where I use the white wine because there are good bits of flavor from the onion on the bottom of that pan. So I'm going to use the white wine, turn it up just a little bit, let it cook just a little bit, heat up just a little bit more. And that's what I'm going to put in the white wine. There we go. That's where that flavor comes off the bottom of the pan, is when that white wine goes in there. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, that smells great. That onion. I'm going to go ahead and put in my 4 cups of vegetable stock. Turn that up a little bit. I'm also going to go ahead and add in my tomato sauce. Whew, glad I put my apron on. Awesome. I'm going to use that spatula over here to get the pesto out of there. So I'm going to let that cook just a little bit while I get the pesto going. We're going to go back over to the island. It says for the pesto, about 1/3 cup of olive oil. So that should be good right now. So I'm going to pulse that up. And I'm going to do more olive oil in there. open it up and do a little scrape down. So make sure you incorporate all of the cheese. Yeah, that's going to definitely need more. It's going to definitely need more olive oil. I'm just going to pull this off. There we go. That should do it. There we go. That's the consistency of pesto you want. Okay, great. Pesto is all done. I head back over to the pan. I'm going to put in some pepper. I like things peppery. And some salt. I want to get that boiling a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and add the tomato paste. The tomato paste gives, first of all, it gives it a little more of a red color. A little more red. And there's a particular tang to the tomato paste that really intensifies the tomato flavor in there. So I'm going to get that in there and stir that up a little bit. In the meantime, I'm going to turn on the pan, a frying pan, to a medium heat, because this will be ready here pretty soon. I'm going to get this to a boil. I'm going to get that to a boil. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to grab a bowl so I can get the pesto out of there. I'm going to give it one more little scrape down. So during the week I'll use pesto. I'll put it on chicken, baked chicken. I'll put it on roasted pork loin to give it a little additional flavor. If you don't use it all, you can freeze it in an ice cube tray and save it that way, freeze it that way. I'm going to put it in little containers. I'm going to put it in little containers so that I can use it little by little. Oh, so I'm going to get this pesto out of here. Oh, this looks really good. It smells really good too. Really good. Okay, get that over here in the sink. Do a little soap in that, get that started to be rinsed out. The pan is getting hot here. So what I do is I'm going to do this here. So what I do is I put the pesto on the inside of the bread. When I put the olive oil in the pan, I put it like 1/8 of an inch deep. And the reason is because I'm not just going to grill the bread. I'm actually going to fry it a little bit. And I used garlic. Olive oil. So we kind of get that little garlicky flavor in that. Then I'm going to put pesto on the inside of the other piece. And I'm going to put that right there. Then I'm going to take this and we're going to go over and I'm going to put it in the pan. And you can see the little bubbles around it. That there is a little bit of oil. So we're really technically frying it. Okay, so that soup is nice and hot. So what we're going to do now, what I'm going to do now is put in the fresh basil. And then I'm going to use the hand mixer to start getting everything incorporated. To really get everything mixed up. This is going to chop up the onions, the garlic, the celery, get all of those flavors infused in the soup. Really give it a good mix. Be sure you keep your cord away from burners. Okay, just gonna let that sit a little bit. I just want to see how the this is doing. Still a little bit more there. While that's cooking, I'm going to continue doing this. These immersion blenders are awesome. I used to make a crab bisque where I had to pour it out of the pan and into a blender, and the blender would leak, and because it was hot, it would spray out the top. These immersion blenders, you can just do it all right in the pan. It's so amazing, so easy. And this, I think this is like $14 at Target, so it's really, really easy to use. Okay. I'm going to check this one more time, and it should have some golden goodness on it. Just going to leave it in there just a little bit more. I probably could turn the temperature up a little bit, but I want to do it slowly because you get to a certain point and then you go from golden brown to burn really quickly. Okay, I think that's going to be good enough for right now. Take that blonde off there so it doesn't fall over. And I'm going to see what this looks like. This should be a beautiful golden brown, which it is. Oh, that's it's going to be really yummy. And then at the end, I do about quarter cup to a half cup of heavy cream, just to give it that little bit of creaminess. I'm going to tip this a little bit and get the oil back underneath that bread. And then this is where I'm going to give that I am going to give the soup a little bit of a taste test. I want to make sure I have the right amount of salt and pepper. Oh, that's good. Okay, so I'm going to bring that to a boil, see if I can get it thickened just a little bit. Wow, that's going to be really good. Yeah, that tomato paste really notches up that tomato flavor, gives a little bit of that really nice tang. And there we go. I am going to get the, look at how pretty that is. Beautifully golden brown. Okay, turn that down a little bit, let that simmer. It's thickening up a little bit. Okay. So this pesto, I will take care of that in a little bit. I move the plate a little closer. I get out my bread knife. Go back over here. Cut that on an angle. Look at how pretty that is. Beautiful pesto, melted mozzarella cheese. It's amazing. Now I'm going to go back over to the stove and I'm going to get some of my tomato basil soup. Now that looks great. You can boil it a little bit longer so it does thicken up just a little bit more. But I think for right now that's great. I will let that simmer just a minute. And then one of the last things you can do, it's a little technique where you roll up basil into like a cylinder. Just like that, into a little cylinder. And then you just give it some nice thin chops. Now, if you want to, you could put a little dollop of sour cream on there as well. But I'm just going to go ahead and put that basil on there. Look at how pretty that is. It's such a great comfort meal, especially now that the temperature is getting colder. And also, if you're on, my channel, it's going to be that time of year where the nights are cold enough and the days are getting cold enough where you can start making ice lanterns. I also have that video on my YouTube channel. But anyway, it was nice to do another video again. Really good comfort food now that winter's on the way and fall is setting in. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.